You're sitting down to play a game of Dungeons and Dragons, and you tell the players we're tracking encumbrance this game, and you get moans all throughout the table and sighs and complaints. I don't want to play accounting the game. I want to go on an adventure. But I would say that tracking encumbrance doesn't have to feel like accounting. Per the rules of 0E, which in my opinion is one of the best editions of the game, and they got encumbrance right in that first edition, in that first book. They understood how to track encumbrance in a both abstract way, but also in a more meticulous way, in order to make resource management matter. And that's what's key here, is that Dungeons and Dragons is fundamentally a resource management game because it is an exploration game. And encumbrance is going to affect how fast the character is moving through the dungeon, right? You might be moving at 6 inches, you might be moving at 9, you might be moving at 12. Generally in 0E, those are the different rates at which you move. In other editions, it's a little different, but we're going to focus on 0E because I want to focus on talking about how 0E handles encumbrance and why I think 0E's way of doing it is the best. You can throw out your concepts from 5E, you can throw out your ideas from stock or from item slot versions of the game. 0E got it right. Perfect. It's perfect. First time, first go. It's rare when that happens in a lot of instances, but in this case, I think that it is, and I'm going to make the argument for that here to show you why. But encumbrance affects the rate of movement speed of a lot of characters. For instance, being able to move through the dungeon at 6 inches is per turn, or essentially you can move double speed. So 60 feet 2 times in one 10-minute turn in the dungeon is greatly different than moving 12 inches or 120 feet, right? Or 9 inches and 90 feet. You're going to be able to explore more of the dungeon and encounter monsters less frequently in random encounters than you would if you were moving at 6. So carrying treasure and loot is going to affect them. And the players, when they get to a point, let's say they get to a room, they slay some monsters, there's a big hoard of treasure here, they have to decide, how much of this are we bringing out of the dungeon? What are we doing with the rest of this? We don't want to lose this. And to me, this brings to mind, for instance, The Hobbit with Bilbo and the dwarves when they encounter the treasure hoard from the trolls. They have to decide what to do with it. They can't carry it all. They decide to take the important stuff, which is some magical elven swords, and leave the rest behind buried in the ground. They'll come back for it later. We also see this later when Bilbo is returning back from the Lonely Mountain. He can only carry two chests of treasure on his pony, and any more would probably be too much and paint too big of a target on his back from bandits and other ne'er-do-wells on the road. The roads still aren't safe, right? The Battle of Five Armies is done. The goblins have been broken. Smaug is dead, but traveling by road is still dangerous in this world. And I think about that. That's what encumbrance is trying to simulate within your own games, right? And that doesn't seem like it's that important, but it really is. It really, really is important because, again, it's going to affect how often they encounter other foes, other creatures, and how big of a target is on their back as well. So the way 0E does encumbrance, which I think is a good balancing act, is everything's still tracked in coin. 10 coins to a pound. But the way it doles it out is you have on page 15 of book 1, you have a breakdown of like a helmet is 50 coin in weight. A shield is equivalent to 150 coin in weight. Miscellaneous equipment, which I think this is where it's key, is 80 coin in weight. And so what that entry there is doing, miscellaneous equipment, it says rope, spikes, bags, etc., 80 coin. The way I rule that, the way I use that, and the way I interpret what that means is that just mark down 80 and then add your weapons on top of that plus any coin that you have. So if you have a dagger and your adventuring equipment like ropes, spikes, and flasks of oil and torches, 80 coin. A dagger is 20 coin. You're at 100 coin weight. And let's say you have some leather armor, which is 250 coin. So you would just add that all together and then add up any coin that you have on that. All simple, done. You know how fast you're going to be able to move, because at 12 inches you're moving 750, or you have 750 coin. At 9 inches 1,000, and at 6 1,500. And so it's super easy to just have that written down. Okay, I'm carrying 600 coin, let's say. That means I move at 12 inches. I'm bolting through the dungeon. If now I can judge when I get into the dungeon and I find treasure, like I'm at 600 coin. If I go over 750, I'm going to be into moving at 9 inches per turn or whatever, 9 inches through the dungeon, 90 feet. That's going to change a whole lot, right? Now you're encountering monsters at a much more frequent rate through the dungeon because you're moving more slowly than you would at 12. This is key, I think, to making players make decisions. This is key to having cool adventure. This is key to making them explore and make decisions about how far to explore, what to take with them when they explore. All of these things are decisions that make the exploration more interesting. Make the story that arises from expeditions and from exploration more interesting. If you handwave this, you're negating all of this. You're negating all that. You're not having that situation in The Hobbit where the dwarves and Gandalf and Bilbo are deciding, what do we do with all this treasure? So I encourage you to look at 0E. I think that you could easily apply these rules in 0E to almost any other edition of the game. There's lots of like equipment that you could apply the weights to. Because 0E, I mean, what 5E does is just you have 15 times your strength score, which means if you have a strength score of 15 times 15 is, I think, 225 pounds, right, that you can carry, which seems absolutely absurd as far as like the max weight that you could carry. That just seems crazy to me. Like this mechanic like was not even thought about. Right? Like they didn't even think about what the implications of that were. And I think that's indicative of how far the hobby has come as far as an exploration game. I think there's vestigial organs of that within a lot of the more modern rule sets, but it's mostly gone. And I think you could easily even port this over into 5th edition or any other version of the game like that. And you're going to be able to track encumbrance, but you have some abstraction here. Again, like miscellaneous equipment, I think, where it abstracts it out to just 80 coin. Just write 80 coin on your sheet. Then write down your armor, write down your weapon. You have easily can add up some numbers to get a total. You know how fast you're moving through the dungeon. Now all you're doing is adding coin on top of that weight. Easy, done. So I encourage you to check that out. Again, this is page 15 of book 1 of 0E. I highly encourage you to check it out and implement encumbrance in your game. It's one of the first things to get thrown out, but it's one of the most important things to get players and play groups to engage in resource management. And that's going to drastically change how your game plays, feels, and quite honestly, I think it's going to make it more interesting as well to engage in that sort of thing. It's not bookkeeping. You're not doing accounting. It's not that hard. I think if you're worried about accounting, you're in the wrong hobby to begin with. I'm going to end on that note. If you're worried about numbers, a game that is fundamentally built on numbers is not the hobby for you. And so maybe the problem isn't the hobby or the game. Maybe it's your tastes and you're trying to like something that you're just not going to like. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, share the video. Sound off in the comments below what you think. Are you one of those filthy people that brew out encumbrance, or do you use it? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to support the channel, you can support right here on YouTube by joining and becoming a member. You can join on my Guilded as well, or on Subscribestar. I'm trying to do things like every fortnight, I'm trying to do like a one-page little thing for you all, whether it's like a little supplement, or a monster or a dungeon map, something of that nature. I'm trying to make the lower tiers more valuable for people to want to check out and support.